Hello, true believers, and welcome to another edition of BK's Bullets. Today I'll be doing a review of the 2015 animated film Batman vs. Robin. Now, before I get started with today's evisceration of this movie, because I didn't like it, I want to tell you guys to make sure you subscribe to Brent's channel. He is starting to do almost daily videos, which is awesome, talking about everything comic book news, whether it's comic book reviews, art covers, whatever, you name it. And he also's got a new series going on right now where he's doing a weekly deep dive of WandaVision. So go ahead and check those out and give him some love, all right? With that out of the way, let's eviscerate this movie. I hated it. I mean, I just loathed it, and there was a lot of things I didn't like about it, and I'm going to try to be as objective as possible, not just saying it's stupid, but really explaining some of my thoughts behind this, because I love Batman animated stuff. And as you guys know, I kicked off this series with Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which was a phenomenal film for so many different reasons. The art was beautiful. The sound effects were great. The soundtrack was just magnificent. The voice acting, the plot, everything. Just great. Fast forward to 2015, I guess things have changed. Because this movie is all over the place and it just doesn't seem to resonate well with me. And I'm looking at the reviews and they're actually pretty decent. I don't know if it was the subject material that kind of brought people back into the fold, or people were jonesing for a Batman movie at the time, but this movie is not good. So it does follow the Court of Owls, which I know a lot of people really liked that storyline. I did. That's what kind of got me back into the whole New 52. I started reading comics again. I think I read them for about a year and a half. Unfortunately, DC, in my opinion, did not do a real reboot. They did this weird, I don't know what they did. So I dropped off. I was done. But I do distinctly remember reading about the Court of Owls, and I thought it was a fascinating story. You know, you think of the age-old story of Batman kind of owning Gotham City, being this, hero, but there was a secret organization the entire time running parallel to him that was doing malicious things that he had no idea about, which was cool because it puts Batman in a bad position. And that's fun. You need conflict to make these animated films work. And this does that. Batman, just a normal, doing his thing. He's having some problems with this kid. And then out of the blue, this evil organization comes and he's like, wait a minute, I had no idea this was going on. And in a really cool touch, probably the only really cool touch of this movie, honestly, they re-showed that infamous scene where Batman is walking, young Bruce Wayne is walking down the alley where his parents get murdered. And this time, when he looks up, he sees an owl flying away. And that kind of puts this loom of like, with the Court of Owls involved, is there some deep overarching conspiracy that's happening inside this universe? And that was a really cool touch. That added a layer on top of Batman's really cool history. We got yet another layer on top of it. And I like that. I think that's a really smart thing to do. Outside of that, though, this movie really falls apart in so many reasons. Namely the title, Batman vs. Robin. It's going to be this epic showdown. The box art shows Batman fighting Robin. What is going on? Why is Batman fighting his son? This doesn't make any sense. And we come to find out that Damien is just a little punk. In terms of character development, there is none. There's really no overarching, really redemption for him, in my opinion, in the story. He's just a jerk. And I don't mean just like a typical teenage kid, and he's definitely not a teenager yet. He's like a young boy, but this angst that he has, this hatred that he has, it just doesn't really fit with anything that's going on. You got Bruce Wayne, you got Dick Grayson, you got Alfred, all hanging out at the Bat Manor. And then you got this kid who's he hates everyone. He hates Nightwing. He hates Alfred. He hates Batman. He's just a jerk to everyone and everything. And it's never really explained why. I get it, the lineage of his grandparent, the great Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul or whatever the hell you want to call him, Al Ghul. So there's that, the demon inside of him that he's fighting against. Got it. I respect that. You can make that story work. This story doesn't work when he is just mean, just flat out mean and evil to everyone the entire time without reason, except for some random guy dressed as an owl who we come to find as Talon. Suddenly he's really nice to him. Oh, you're going to teach me? You're going to let me learn? I want to be with you. And instead of really manipulating his angst and channeling it towards Batman, it's just like, I hate everybody I hate everything about Batman. And oh, I found another person who also hates Batman, so we'll align together. I didn't really feel like there was any real manipulation. That would have been more fun. I think that would have been a lot better had Talon kind of slowly cultured and showed Robin, like, look, Batman's doing the wrong thing here, 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 and here. He's teaching you the wrong ways. I can teach you the right ways. I am also an outsider. You didn't really get that. You just got two people who just generally hated Batman because the story said they had to hate Batman, and you put them together as this evil collective force against Batman. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel rewarded. And I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. This is so unrealistic. Batman is completely clueless in what's going on here, which we know he shouldn't be. He knows everything. He sees everything. He's got cameras and satellite dishes and whatever he has. You're telling me he has no idea any of this is going on, and it was just really painful to watch. The culmination of the film really, I think, bothered me the most. You have Bruce Wayne, arguably the greatest martial artist in the world, at least in this DC universe, right? I mean, the guy single-handedly crushes everyone. Except that one time with Bane, but that's okay. Single-handedly crushes everyone in hand-to-hand combat. He's got all these cool gadgets and gizmos, and he's just a phenomenal fighter. You're going to tell me that an 8-year-old kid, or I don't know how old this kid is. I'm just going to say 8. He's definitely preteen. You're going to tell me a pre-teenage kid is going to be able to take down Batman? No, that is not happening. Straight up not happening. And when they're fighting on the rooftop at the end of the movie, Damien does start to kind of, you could see Batman's not fighting back. He's just doing blocks, and he's like, okay, what's going on here? And then I think Damien like uppercuts him or does some kind of roundhouse kick to him or something, and Batman like falls on the ground. And then he stands up, and you see him like puff his chest out. I'm like, okay, he hasn't been fighting back. Now he's gonna fight back. And he does fight back. And you know what happens? He still loses. Come on. No way Batman still loses. Now, I guess you could argue that because they both fall through the building, Batman, his parental instinct, he grabs Damien, so he's the one who takes the brunt of the fall onto the, I think it was like a T-Rex statue or something, or like some kind of bone structure in like a museum, some exhibit. I guess you could argue that, okay, he took a little bit of a fall there, but up until then, like, dude, he should have single-handedly destroyed this kid. And it just seemed so unrealistic, so just far-fetched. When Damien's fighting other villains, it's kind of still odd that a little boy is able to beat men. But I guess you could understand the fact that, like, he's been trained by the legendary Batman. He has this demon's blood rolling through his veins. He's a big, tough guy. And, through the cloak of night and through just, his straight agility, he may be able to take out people who are less trained than him. Not Batman. Batman should not lose like that. And it was really bad. So I thought the plot of it was just atrocious. And then just the way that, this evil organization rises and then just almost subsequently falls in the short amount of time. I think I would have liked a little bit better if Talon wasn't so hell-bent on making Robin a killer, which, again, made no sense. Really taking his life at the end, it was very odd. He was probably the one shining part of this movie, but, I guess that's over with. I know there are some sequels. I don't think I'll be watching them. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do have to watch a movie every week, so I may end up having to come back to the series. Outside of the plot, which was just really bad. The animation was very weird. I understand, I'm looking at here on the Wikipedia, as I always, when I pull up these videos, and it says that it was illustrated, it's based on a lot of illustrations from the actual comic book from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, which those are household names to me. Clearly those are recognized people. The animation, I didn't have an issue with the fluidity of the animation. I thought the art style was nice. Batman had a different helmet. His cowl kind of came up and covered his chin, more of a chin guard instead of the open face kind of helmet he had, it actually wrapped around his chin a little more. I like that. I don't have an issue with that. It's when he's not in costume. He looks very odd. His eyes are too close together. His face is way too triangle shaped. And I just got done doing a video last week talking about my appreciation for DC thinking outside the box, particularly with Wonder Woman. And I said, how much I loved the way they animated Hades. And I thought he was very, very cleverly drawn. And it was very jarring to see his presence against all the other gods and goddesses inside the Wonder Woman universe. So I do appreciate that when it's done right. This Batman does not look like Batman at all. He just doesn't have that look. He doesn't look chiseled. He doesn't ever look like he's like a built guy. He just looks droopy. His shoulders kind of triangled down. He looks like an upside down hourglass between his face and his shoulders. He doesn't have this big brooding presence that he does in other movies. And I'm not talking when he's in the costume. I'm talking about just Bruce Wayne the dude. It just doesn't look right. And it has to be said, the fact that he is not voiced by the normal voice of Batman, it really throws it off. He does not sound like Batman. He sounds very nasally, very whiny. There's a lot of scenes where he's arguing with Dick Grayson about his son, about, like, why can't he be like you? You were great. Dick Grayson's grown up now, obviously Robin, or it was Robin, now Nightwing. And he's talking to him about, like, why can't he be more like you? Alfred, what have I done wrong? And he doesn't come off sounding like a concerned father. Batman doesn't come off like, I'm a big, strong guy, and, I can fight villains, but I can't fight my own kid, which would have been a cool story arc. Instead, he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm putting a security system in my house, and he's still getting out. It just sounds so whiny. I don't understand this. This movie just has so many fundamental flaws with it, and I can't understand it. I'm looking here. The reception. Batman vs. Robin received a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 5 reviews. Okay, I get it. Some of the reviews are like, throwaways. IGN gave it a 6.7 out of 10, and Screen Rant gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Now, that's a little more realistic, and I think that's honestly even being generous. As I mentioned, there is a sequel called Batman Bad Blood, which came out in 2016, and there is a sequel called Batman Hush, which came out in 2019, both of which I will avoid like the plague until I have absolutely no choice. Out of all the movies I have seen so far for this series, for Brent's channel, this is by far the absolute worst one I have seen. I do not recommend this movie. If you are a fan of Batman, you will find way better depictions of him, his family, and his personal drama in other films. But for this one, highly avoid it. And with that, I'm closing out this video. Leave some comments below. Let me know if I got this wrong. Did I miss something? Is there some major story zinger or some phenomenal piece of the lore that I totally went over my head? I want to hear from you guys below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys in the funny pages.